How's it going, guys? Just going to go through some of the skills from Topic 6, Lesson 1. I think a lot of you did a pretty good job with this anyway, so maybe this will be a review that you don't even end up really needing, but just want to have the resource out there just in case you do need to come back and check. So one of the things we're looking at is a percentage is, the definition basically of a percentage is a part of a whole compared to 100. So if you have a test that's only out of 17 problems and you get a 14 on it, that doesn't mean you have a 14%, right? You have to figure out what your percentage is. So it's easy if every single test, you wouldn't like it, had 100 points available or 100 problems, right? That would take forever to do. But it would make finding your grade really easy. Like when we do fast facts, if it's 100 fast facts, then it's really easy to find out your percentage because it's just how many you got right. So in this case, I have 5 different examples. So if the fraction is 18 out of 100 or 18 100ths, it's very easy. That's just going to be 18%, right? Because it's already out of 100. Same thing here. It's going to be 74%. This one would be 2%, 31%, etc. Even if you have a number larger than 100, it's just going to be 215%. All right. Well, it looks more like a Z, but 215%. All right. So if it's over 100, your life is easy. All right. So now it gets a little trickier. So now if we have ones, if we have a number over any number but 100, we need to turn it into a number over 100. So if we have 8 out of 20 or 8/20ths, maybe you made 8 out of your 20 shots in soccer and you wanted to find what your shooting percentage was, how many percent you make. We've done this type of thing before. It's just basically finding equivalent fractions. So if it's 8 out of 20, I can't say that's 8%. That would be way, way low. So I need to change this into a 100. So I'm just going to set it equal to a fraction with 100 in the denominator. And this is the part we've done a million times. So these skills come in handy over and over again. So I just think, how did I go from 20 to 100 using multiplication or division? Well, I multiply it by 5. So now I do the same to the top, and I get 40. So now I can write 40%. All right. So numbers that work well with 100, this is nice and easy. It should be pretty quick. You just have to remember to do the same thing. Don't just change to 100 and think it's 8 over 100. So just some quick examples of other ones that work well, and you'll see why. So number over 10, 50, 25. All right, so those are just some of them. So if, let's just put 6 for all of these. All right, so you would just think, what do I have to multiply 10 by to get to 100? Well, it would be 10 times 10 is 100, so 10 times 6 would be 60, so 60%. Same thing here. 50 times 2 is 100, so 6 times 2 would be 12. It would be 12%. And same thing here. 25 times 4 is 100, so 6 times 4 is 24, so it would be 24%. So once you can get the number over 100, your life is easy. So those are the easier examples. All right, so if it's over 100 already, you just basically say what this number is, and that's the percentage. If it's not over 100, but you can quickly change this number on the bottom, the denominator, into 100, then you just do the same thing to both. Now, the last one, the trickiest one, is what happens when that denominator is not out of a number that's easy to get to 100. So maybe it's, you took, let's say you took eight shots and you made 5 of them. All right, so, oops. So you took 8 shots, you made 5 of them. You want to know what your shooting percentage is. So the part you made is 5. The whole amount is 8. So there's your fraction. So you want to know what percentage is 5 out of 8. So 8 can't get to 100 easily. There's nothing you can do. 8, I mean, you could find a decimal to multiply by 8 to get to 100, but that's going to take a lot of work. So what we're going to do instead is use our knowledge that this bar means division. All right. And we're going to divide 5 by 8. All right. So yes, the smaller number It's going to be inside. Don't be tempted to put the 8 in there just because 5 will go into 8 easier. So 8 does not go into 5. So we've done this type of division before. 8 does not go into 5. So now we need to bring in a decimal here and add a 0. So 5.0 does not change the value of this. So we're still good. So 8 goes into 5. 0 doesn't go in, but 8 does go into 50. And I'm sure you're yelling out that it goes in 6 times. So 6 times 8 is 48. And that gives us 2. We don't want to stop there, so we'll bring another 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. I'm going to move myself over here for now. And we get a 4. Let's do this one more time. Bring down that 0. 8 goes into 45 times. Nice and even. Ooh, running out of room. Just enough room. All right, so now we have 0.625. Last step we have to do is take this decimal and multiply it by 100, or just move the decimal over 2 spots. So that's the same thing as multiplying by 100. So now we have a percentage of 62.5%. All right, and that seems to make sense because 4 out of 8 would be 50% because it's exactly half. So our answer should be above 50%, not a ton over 50% because it's still close to half, but it should be something over, which is 62.5%. So that's how we find the percentage when the denominator or the whole is not 100 or a number that works well with 100, like 8. So last thing I'll show you is you'll see something like this, and let's just imagine this grid is perfect, perfectly set up. Each square is exactly the same size, so I know it doesn't look like it is, but let's imagine it is. And they'll do something like this. We'll shade some of these in. They'll say what amount of the figure is shaded in. So if there were 100 grids, if we had a 100 grid board here, you would just count and say you count and there's 72 of the little little squares are shaded. It would be 72 out of 100. It would be 72%. But this one's not out of 100. So we count how many total there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. And then there's 5 more down here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the total amount of them is 10. Then you count how many are shaded, 3 out of 10. Now we go back to our rules, and this is relatively easy, hopefully. You probably just saw it right away, but 10 times 10. Ooh. 10 times 10 gets you to 100. So then we have to multiply the top by 10 as well, and we get to 30. Anything over 100 is nice and easy, so our answer would be 30%. Now, if this was out of like 8, so say we chopped these off, that was confusing. 1 second. So let's say we got rid of these, so these no longer exist. So now it would be 3 out of a total of 8. 8 doesn't work well with 100, so we would go through our process of doing 3 divided by 8 and going through that and solving. All right, so hopefully this is helpful. Maybe it's just completely review and you won't even need to look at this, but it can be a good resource for you to take a look at. All right, thank you. See you for the next video on 6.2. Bye.